Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for tuning in to Step Into Your Sunshine. This is Rachel Coudron, your host, the owner of Etsy boutique Coudron's Curiosities and RC Copywriting. Today, I have one of my very besties with me, someone who is inspirational, funny, and full of energy, and I would love for her to introduce herself.
Hi, thank you so much, Rachel. I am Keri Denney of Keri Denney Wellness. I have been a massage therapist for many, many years. I work with doTERRA essential oils and wellness products, and most recently started teaching Zumba fitness. So all this wrapped up in some excellent self-care that's easy, that you can plug in at various points with me, whether you want to dance the stress away, massage the stress away, essential oil the stress away. There's a way. There's a way.
Yes, thank you, Keri, for that introduction. I would like to start by asking you, what were some of the defining moments in your life that shaped who you are?
Been happy-go-lucky, see me, they meet me, they're like, oh my gosh, your smile, it's so great, it's so infectious, which is great for a while, when you're a kid, and then, life happens, and you're like, I gotta get a job, and like, things are hard, and I worked in a corporate office and I thought, gosh, is this what adulting is? Is this what people work so hard to work in an office and gossip and eat donuts? Like, this cannot possibly be what people go to school for and work so hard to get to. I thought there must be something else. There must be something more. And so I went home from work one day and I pulled out this old-fashioned thing called a phone book, and I called all the massage schools in the area. I looked at one, I quit my job, and I started doing massage. So that was fairly like defining, off the beaten track. My family's like, "What are you doing?" My dad's like, "You quit your job to do what?" Like, I'm doing massage now. First day of school, they asked who'd had a massage, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never even had a professional massage before. What? And all these other people were, oh, my massage therapist brought me back to life after my car accident, or, this sort of thing. And I was like, okay, don't compare myself to other people. I'm here. I know exactly. My intuition was like, yes, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And so I just followed that for 25 years so far.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And tell us, where are you located now?
I am living happily ever after in Ireland. I grew up in California. So about 6 years ago now, we moved here to Ireland, and we love it. It's amazing.
Beautiful rolling hills and greenness. It's gorgeous. And Keri, I wanted to kind of go back on a couple of things that you talked about. And one of the first ones was your just immediate full jump into massage school. Is that you literally just came home and said, this is not all I have to offer in life. Open a phone book and called, and you were like, I'm done. I'm finished with my job. And many people would say, wow, like she just hopped on that train, didn't even think 3 seconds. And did you have a support group to support you through that decision? And how did you continue even when people might have looked at you like, are you sure you're making the right choice?
I found that if I did have an idea, so up to that point in my life, if I did have an idea, hey, wouldn't it be great to, be an artist? Wouldn't it be great to do this? Wouldn't it be great to do that? That people around me weren't terribly supportive of that. Like you said, are you sure you want to do that? Which to me, like, so far in my life at that point felt like they're not actually asking me to think about it, but saying, you don't want to do that. So I felt like if I did discuss it with anybody, that I would be told, well, now that's not very sensible. That's not how you run your life. You can't do that. When I kind of looked around, and my roommate worked part-time going to music school. And I was like, if he can do that, like, life could look different. It could be, if you could still pay the bills, like, do it. So I didn't, I never thought that I would fail. I never thought that, because you could always go back. You could always go back to a job. You could always do something else. My parents would take me back in. Like, I wouldn't be left, and I had good friends. And so it didn't feel like I'd be out in the cold if things didn't work out. But I also really, really, really wanted to make it work out. So I go, yeah, I made this decision and I went for it. And I keep going for it every day, because I don't want to go back to a job. I don't want to work in an office. I don't want to do 9 to 5. And then now at this point, like, I don't think I'm a very good employee, because I'm like, oh, this could all be different. We could do this different. That doesn't make a very good employee.
Too many questions of being like, hey, we need to do this differently. And this could be streamlined, and this could be easier, and you could do this instead. And I really, really love that, because to me, that would make an excellent employee. Be like, hey, you could redesign your systems to be more effective. And for me, when you're telling your story, and it's one of the things that we originally bonded over, it reminds me of my story when I moved to France. And quite literally, for those that are listening, is me and my husband decided in August of 2018 that we were going to move. We had a discussion. It was happening. And in December, we were supposed to go to just visit his parents and his family here in France. And we decided in August that, hey, if we're already going to be there, we might as well move then. And the decision was made just between two of us. Like you, I didn't consult anybody else. And in about 2 weeks later, I was talking across to my mom and dad at a restaurant to tell them that we're moving. And my mom is unable to handle the situation. She actually leaves the restaurant and goes back to the house. And it's just me and my dad and Thomas. And it was really, really challenging. It took my mom about 6 weeks to really handle the information that we were moving. And then I told her in August, and then in October, we announced that we were expecting, and which made everything all more difficult. And I remember my husband coming in and telling me, and him saying, we don't have to move now. Like, we don't have to move if you're uncomfortable. Like, now that we're expecting, I know that you wanted to be around your family. And I was like, but we've already made this decision. Like, we had already been working on like cleaning out our house and selling our stuff and trying to get the house on the market. And going back to your story about just jumping straight in, that was us. We decided in August and we moved in December. And to put that into perspective for all of our listeners, is I did not have a place that I was going to certainly stay. We decided to stay with his parents. Neither of us had a job. We didn't have any furniture. We had zero clue what we were going to do. We didn't know where we were going to live outside of his parents' house. And I didn't know where I was going to go for the checkups for the pregnancy. I didn't have a single clue of what to expect for the journey of pregnancy or the delivery. But I just jumped in. And that's something that I have learned is a strength, because throughout my life, just like you, if I was like, I don't think I'm interested in that, or, oh, I really want to do that, or I'm never going to do this, or that's like not in alignment with how I feel, I was always met with, you'll change.
Yeah.
That I don't really think that's for you. I don't really think that's a strength of yours. You need to tone that down a bit, because it just is not going to attract the right vibe. And I remember thinking, it was just like, I'm going to make this decision between me and my husband, and everybody else is just going to have to live with the consequences. And now I realize that that's actually a strength. The ability to say, just jump head first into an opportunity is a strength, because we're not held back from all the what ifs, or is this right for me, or like all the doubts creeping into our brain. We're already there, so now it's like, now we got to figure out we have to figure out how to handle these situations or when those thoughts appear. Do you have any thoughts about that?
That is so fantastic. And I think that that is a strength, and it's a strength that can be developed. And I think that's like knowing your intuition and knowing when something is pulling you towards. And so even though things had changed, you're like, well, we've already made this decision, and you've already made preparations, which can't, you could have undone it. You could have stayed right where you were. But I think you could also, hey, we've already visualized our life over here in France and being closer to his family and doing something different, that you can develop that, and to know when it's inside forces guiding you and when it's outside forces pulling you away from what you need to do. So oftentimes, we meet people that are like, oh, I wish I could quit my job. Oh, I wish. It's like, okay. And it isn't necessarily that easy to just go, oh, just drop everything and go. I didn't have kids. I was in a situation that I could just make that kind of decision at that time. But my friend that I met, she kind of did the same thing, but also worked full time and sort of like, oh, I have to stay until this happens, still got on the track, but really thought it through differently. And I go, oh, geez, maybe I should have thought it through differently. But that's not because I'll talk myself right on out of it.
That is me as well, is that if I don't commit to a decision, then it's like, well, maybe it's not right for me, or maybe this isn't the right time. Or I start making excuses like, oh, it's my daughter's really hard right now, or I've been sick for 3 months, or my mom has been sick for 5 months, or, oh, it's a really stressful time for my husband right now. I don't want to add more stress onto it. And so I'm exactly the same. I'll just talk myself right out of it. And I don't even need any help. I can just do it by myself. And I would like to ask our listeners today, can you relate to that? Can you relate to diving head first into an opportunity, or are you that person that talks yourself out of opportunities? And how do you combat that? If you do, we would love to know. Now, Keri, something else that you have mentioned is following your intuition. And I know that this is very near and dear to your heart. And can you tell us, what does that feel like to you, or sound like to you, or how do you know that it's your intuition talking to you or pulling you in a certain direction? Now, Keri, I know that intuition is so important into your life and has led you to where you are now. My question for you is, how do you know your intuition is speaking to you? What does it feel like for you? What does it say? Are there certain signs? Do you have certain feelings? And this is to really help others also know when their intuition is speaking to them.
Yeah, so I think everybody is a little bit different. So it's really important for you to kind of get in touch with yourself and see how that feels and what it sounds like to you, if you are unfamiliar with your intuition. For me, it just feels right. So as I said, when I transitioned out of that office work and into my own thing, especially doing massage, you really need to be good with yourself. So then kind of rejection and that doesn't get you down for everything else. Like, oh, I was rejected today and now my life is ruined. Like, of course, staying positive. And so working on your own self, for me, like working on my own self was very important. And I know this is very important for all entrepreneurs. Self-development is the journey. That's what we're here to do. For you, Rachel, it's making beautiful jewelry and beautiful words and this beautiful podcast. For me, it's helping people feel better but really it's self-development. It's getting more and more in touch with what you're here to do, right? So for me personally, it feels like a knowing. So something hops into my head. Hey, do you want to move to Ireland? Yes, I do. And it just feels like there's no other noise. So like when you do meditation or something like that, that you practice kind of getting rid of that noise and understanding that's my mother's voice. That's my father's voice. That's my friends telling me I can't do it. That's whatever. That's society saying women have to do this. And so stripping away, chopping away all those things or identifying, those are the outside things. And then this is just this knowing. It's in my head and it feels right. It feels like I know it, that it's just right. There's also a sense in my body of calm and focus that might, for other people, might feel like butterflies or goosebumps, or that you're like, ooh, I remember talking to you, Rachel, and you're like, ooh, that's all goosebumpy. And like, so you knew that was the right direction. So there is a little trick, if I could share. You can do this with gigantic life moves, like moving to another country or quitting your job and starting a business, or which avocado is the right avocado in the store. So, because you want the right one, right?
Yes,
you get it home and
we
you're
know
like,
that.
I just paid €2.50 and now it's garbage. Very frustrating. Anyway, so you get something, right? You pick up your avocado, you hold it in your hands, and you take a deep breath, and you just close your eyes and ask a question. Is this the avocado for me? And if it is yes, you'll feel your body kind of pull forward a little bit. And if it's no, you'll feel your body push back a little bit. Then you go, oh, that's the right avocado for me.
Oh, I love you so much, Keri. You are just full of insights and hilarity. It's just like people are gonna tune into this episode and they're gonna be laughing but also learning. And I think that's one of the most incredible qualities about you, is that you're so relatable and so comfortable and have incredible insights. I think that's a beautiful way to begin to get to know yourself a little bit more, is what do I want? Because constantly we are surrounded by people that tell us, you want this, you want that, you need to speak like this, you need to dress like that. And we don't spend enough time with ourselves, especially women, because women are taught from in society that we need to find our worth from other people or doing other things outside of ourselves. How good of a mother are we? Are we providers? Do we go to school? How do we communicate? Are we carers? All the things that society tells us that we should be. Do we look good enough? How is our body in a swimsuit? How are we going to be perceived? Did we make that food for the birthday party? All those things that society is constantly judging us on, but it doesn't ever tell us to actually look inside of ourselves and say, what do we think of me? What do I think of me? And that is what we're doing here on this podcast to inspire others. Is when you listen to this and you tune in, I want you to think, what do I think of me? What do I want? Where do I want to go? What is my intuition telling me? And just like you referred to when you were talking, when I decided just over a year ago to open my copywriting business, I really struggled at first because it was an entirely different lane that I saw myself going down. And I was like, I don't know. Is this the right decision? And so when I was talking with my coach, I decided, I was like, okay, just pause. We're going to hold off for like a week because I need my body to tell me what is the right choice. And every day, just like she described beautifully, Keri, I would feel like these little butterflies in my stomach. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's such an exciting time. And I knew at that moment, I was I knew that this was the right choice for me. And
But your head tried to tell you otherwise. I have my family, I have my daughter, I have this, I have that, I have all these things. How could I change directions or add to, put more on, like, but it becomes not easy, but it becomes in the flow when you said yes and you could. So when people do pros and cons, they're like, I have this list. I'm like, forget about the list, because this doesn't measure the same as this. You could have 1,000 things on that list that will not add up to those butterflies, that will not add up. I'm getting chills now, to those chills, like it, and that happiness and that, like, that feeling.
And that passion and that drive. And so something I'm sharing with you all, including Keri, because I haven't told her and I haven't told all of my listeners here. And that's my big news, is something that has been drawing me. My intuition has been sending me in a specific direction. And it's very exciting to announce that I will be starting a lifestyle brand around Step Into Your Sunshine, because I believe that this is crucial for women to hear, that we need to step into our sunshine. We need to own all of our experiences and know that deep down we have the intuition, we have the skills to be able to share our light with the world and to impact others, and know that they aren't alone, that as a collective, we can create a community where women are cherished and celebrated and understood and empowered. So I cannot wait to share with all of you guys what I will be bringing to my lifestyle brand, Step Into Your Sunshine.
Fantastic. Hooray. And I just want to say, it's okay. You know, if you look on my Instagram, it says, for my Zumba, it says, I give you permission to get up and move. Because often, like you said, we've been told, and not even just women, but for gross generalization, are told, if you look like this, if you do it like this, if you run your life this way, then you'll be happy. Instead of feel that fire and that passion and climbing trees and skinning your knees and running till your legs, go out from under you, like that. Run your life like that. And there will be ups and there will be downs, and you'll be happy and you will be sad. And all of that is life. All of it. So stop, get into a box, put your own self in a cage, stop listening. Like, it's important to have a community and a support and places you can talk, but find safe places to do that. Find that tribe that's going to lift you up, because I'll tell you, that is fantastic. And I will support you 100% with your lifestyle brand. And, if there's, hey, did you think about maybe this kind of thing? Like, but first I'm going to lift you up and go, yes, I see it. It's happening. Can get into the nitty gritty and the details later, like.
And what you just talked about is so important, is having a community around you that understands you, uplifts you, and empowers you to take that next step, to go on that journey, to make that wild decision to jump headfirst into the ocean. It's because you need somebody that understands you. And I definitely come from a place, and I believe you do too, where when I moved to France, I did not have support. I didn't know anyone. Except for Thomas's family, immediate family. I didn't speak French. So there was no communicating, building relationships, because that wasn't possible for me. And it actually, those two things alone, and I also lost all of my strength to make individual decisions, because I couldn't go and talk to somebody and have a conversation and understand the information that I needed to make financial decisions or life decisions. And so my autonomy was just completely stripped from me. And this led me into a depression. And I know firsthand what it's like to not have a community, to not be supported. And it's devastating. But on the flip side of that, I also know what it's like to be surrounded by powerful, uplifting, inspiring women, where for me and you, we're both part of the same tribe, Moms in Business International. And it is an incredible space where women uplift you daily. You feel empowered. And if you're in this place, even if you don't own a business, where you just feel stuck, you feel like you're not anything other than a mom, because I've been there too. And you feel like, is this all there is to life? Just like Keri was. When you're in that kind of environment, like Moms in Business, you feel like the whole world is your oyster, that there is nothing stopping you, and that you will conquer every dream and desire you've ever had.
100%. And if you have come up against a life situation, a business situation that somebody in there hasn't already gone through, it would be amazing. Like, there is nothing that you could be dealing with that somebody else hasn't already been through and come out on the other side. So you can go, oh, this is survivable. This, I could see the end, right? You can see the end of the tunnel. You will get through this. There is a way.
And that's so important. It's so important. Even if you just have one other person out of 70,000, let's say, I've been there. Me too. It's life-changing. And I've seen that when I had unexplainable pelvic pain for years. And I've seen that also right now, where my mom is going through a really difficult time and been in the hospital for an extended amount of time, and how many women are reaching out to me, and how many women have lost parents of their own, and they just understand. And it makes me feel like, even though I'm thousands of miles from my family and from my mother, it's like I can go to them and they understand how I feel. And that makes all the difference in the world for me.
Yep.
Now, Keri, what are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned throughout your life and your career?
Well, getting in touch with the intuition has been kind of my key thing. And I thought, geez, in my 20s, getting like really recognizing my intuition and being able to follow it. And so even when it seems like, what is going on? Like, why can't I get out of the house? I keep dropping my keys and I keep this, that, and the other. I go, okay, wait, my intuition is telling me something to slow down or to just hang on a few minutes, and then lo and behold, out you go. And there's a car accident maybe that happened that you weren't, like, had I left when I meant to, would have been in the middle of, or things like that. So getting in touch with that intuition has been key. My mind wandered. What did you ask?
What was the most valuable lesson? So you touched on getting in touch with your intuition and it being your focus, and how it has transformed your life and your business. Are there any others?
Yeah, so using that to get really clear on the things that I want to do, and the things on how to expand my business, and how to go about my business, to not then put myself in a position which I got out of, like a 9-to-5 job. You don't want to put yourself back in that kind of position, right? You want to have that freedom. So keeping the intuition in check and make your decisions based on, yeah, this feels right. This does not feel right, even though this is the way you should do your business. That doesn't feel like the right direction for me. So really knowing that about yourself and following that guidance.
I think that's incredibly important, is knowing what is for you and what's not just in your life, but in your business. Like you mentioned, when in business, oh, that doesn't feel right for me. Whether that might be a client, it might feel like that in marketing, it might feel an approach when you talk to different people, or how you talk to different people. And it might feel like what task you bring on. That doesn't feel like, it feels, that kind of sticky feeling where you get kind of hot and you just like know that this doesn't feel right. What do I do moment? And I think that's incredibly important, because so many of us, especially those that are just starting out in business, they're like, I need to make money to be able to expand this business. And that's not a joke. You do. But we can't lose ourselves in trying to financially increase our income. And we have to stay true to ourselves and why are we here to begin with? Why did we start this business? Why did we choose this path? And just like Keri said so beautifully at the beginning, where she was like passionate about, I don't want to go back to this 9 to 5. I refuse. And that has been her motivation for now 25 plus years, is I refuse to go back. And so the decisions you take on have to be in alignment with your why. If they're not, then you're out of alignment, and then you're not following your intuition. And then your intuition's going to kick in and say, hey, this is not right for you. How do you feel about that, Keri?
Yeah, definitely. I love it when my intuition's like, hey, because there will be, so as you start to pay attention, there will be signs. There will be small signs and then medium signs, and then you'll like fall down the stairs or like get hit in the head with a brick, and your intuition is like, listen, do not take on this client. And then your head is going to tell you, but it's this amount of money, or I really need this work. It will take more energy, more time, and it'll pull you away from the things that not easy money, but that are more in flow, more in alignment, more, if I could have 10 clients that are super duper easy instead of one client that drains literally all my energy and still can't satisfy and still can't get, the job done. It's not worth whatever money you thought it was worth. Like, it's not. So sometimes you just have to hold on, and that can be tough in business. You just hold on. There's one other thing. There are plenty of people out there. So don't get yourself wrapped up in competition. There's not enough. I have to take every massage client. I learned really, really early on. Now, on the flip side, I can take on every single Zumba client, but I cannot take on every single massage client because I can only massage so many people. Like, there's a lot of people in the world who need massage. I can't get to them all. So I don't need to fight the massage therapist next door for clients. I need to just present what I have to offer, and the people who want to come to me will come to me.
Absolutely. Law of attraction. And I think something else that you've mentioned twice now, since we've been talking, is this idea of comparitis.
Comparitis.
That we, as human beings and business owners, are constantly comparing ourselves to other people, where they are in their life and how successful they are in their business. What are they doing in their business? It's constantly comparing and telling ourselves that we're not enough, or why are we so slow, or why aren't we growing at the same pace, or why didn't our episode do better, or whichever the questions you have going on in your brain. Is, as Keri mentioned at the very beginning, when she went into massage school, and she's like, I've never had a massage. And then this lady's telling this eloquent, beautiful story of how massage changed her life from a car accident, or how just now she was telling us that she doesn't need to compare to the masseuse down the road. And I think this is a really important concept for us to talk about and to identify in this podcast, is that none of this is necessary. I love the analogy when we're going into the grocery store and you look at the aisle of bread, and we all know there's like 40 different kinds of bread, and most of them are made exactly the same, except for they have different names and maybe one minute different ingredient, but they are $3 more. And so what I'm getting at here is that When you go down that aisle and you have 40 choices, it's all presenting exactly the same thing. It's all presenting bread. Yet all of them can be successful in their own right. And even if you have 40 masseuses living in your town, all of you guys can be successful because you don't offer all the same things. Business is a lot about individuality. What do you offer that's different than all of the others? And it's just like in life, you are a very unique person. You have certain characteristics that nobody else have. You have a specific makeup that makes you individually you. When you're living your most authentic life, you attract your tribe. The law of attraction that we just talked about is that people will be attracted to you because they love your energy. They love to see you being your authentic self. Keri, do you have thoughts about that?
I agree 100% are my thoughts about that. And it doesn't do you or your clients or your business or your life or your partners any good to not be authentic. Because when you are authentic, you can communicate more clearly. You can be, I don't want to say less emotional as a bad thing, but like I get overwhelmed and frustrated, and then my husband says something completely innocent, and I'm like totally blow up. And he's like, I just asked you if you wanted the milk. And, I have this huge, so being authentic and clear and taking care of my own stuff, makes it so everything else runs more smoothly.
Yes, absolutely. And my last question for you, Keri, is what advice would you give to someone who is trying to find their path in life?
Do things that you love. Spend time with people that you enjoy spending time with, that when you come away spending time with them, you feel more energized. You don't feel drained. And so getting in touch with that energetic exchange is going to help you identify, oh, geez, I really feel kind of drained after I spend time with these people. Doesn't mean that you have to kick them out of your life and make some big dramatic, I'm cutting you out of my life. But who do you follow on social media? Are they uplifting or do they more bring you down? So after you've been scrolling a while, take a little check-in with yourself. Do I feel, what am I doing? People say, social media is so bad. It's like, who do you follow? Because I'm having a great experience over here because I follow people like Rachel. I follow our people in Mums in Business. Then the posts are uplifting. Like I said, there's ups and downs in life, but it's more uplifting. So the more you can do those things, you go, oh, this is great. I love going for a hike. What else do I love about that? And so you can find, I love taking people on hikes. I love helping people after they sprain their ankle on a hike, whatever. So the more you do things that you love, the easier and clearer it's going to be on what you should do next.
I absolutely adore this advice. I think it's so important. Energetics isn't talked about enough because it's also true for your clients. When you meet them, for me, when I offer my services for copywriting, we have a get to know you session first. And you can feel, even through Zoom, the energetics of somebody. And you can feel like the vibes, the person's giving off, the way that they speak, their expectations, their posture, the way that they interact with their children, if they have any, or their backgrounds. There's a lot that gives off about people, and you can feel that energy. And if you walk away from that situation and you're like, oh man, that was a really difficult exchange, then that is your body telling you this isn't the right person for you. And you need to listen, because there are a long list of stories of incredibly successful entrepreneurs saying, I took on this client and it was the worst decision of my life, because everything about them was a red flag. My body told me not to do it, yet I did it anyway against my better acknowledgement. And then I regretted it. And it's never worth it. Nobody has ever told me, no matter the price, that it was worth taking on a client that didn't match their energy or was giving off a negative energy. It's so important that we listen to what our body and senses are picking up. And I think that's brilliant advice, Keri. I have loved so much having you on this podcast. I would love for you to share with us, how can we get connected with Keri? Where could we attend this Zumba Queen class that you offer? And anything else that you would love to share with us?
Yes, so I'm on the social media at Self-Care Keri, Keri, and that's usually where you can find me the easiest. I'm also at Zumba with Keri, or if you go to my website, Keri Denney Wellness, it should have all my stuff up there, including my Zumba 24/7 on-demand classes available. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, what you're doing, what's your situation. You work swing shift, you want to dance at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can go and take a Zumba class anytime, day or night, whatever suits your particular schedule, because life doesn't have to be hard. Like Rachel was saying, you make these decisions. So you think, I'm running a business, work should be work. It doesn't have to be hard. So trust yourself.
Thank you so much, Keri. For all of our listeners, I would love to hear your feedback on today's episode. Also, new episodes air every Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. UTC time, 7 p.m. UK time, and 1 p.m. US Central Standard Time. I can't wait to talk to you all soon.